Hometown Ghost Stories contains serious and often distressing events and is not intended for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Hometown Ghost Stories, where we are covering some more haunted headlines from the past. I am your host, Rob Coakley, joined as always by Dave Wilkins.
Hello, Rob Coakley.
Jesse Wilkins.
What's going on?
And a very special guest, Miss Phantomette from YouTube. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
And for those of you who do not know what haunted headlines is, basically, I go through the archives. I scour for hours, in days, in months, endlessly to find some of the craziest ghost stories and other things from the past 1800s, 1700s, some from the 1900s as well. And I'm the only one who knows what they are. So you get live reactions from everybody else here, and it's always a very fun time. Do you guys just want to jump right into our first story here?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. So this first one is from 1884, and it is from Delaware, Ohio, which is really weird to say that it's Delaware, Ohio. Let's read it. Delaware, Ohio is much excited over a so-called ghost.
That's worded weird.
Yes. Thank you, 1884 newspapers. The house where the spirit presents itself is in the fashionable part of the town and is occupied by two respectable families who do not believe in spiritualism. Crowds of people visit the house and converse with the ghost, which has a loud masculine voice and is profane. He declares that he is an imp of the devil and that his residence is in hell, and claims that $20,000 was buried under the house years ago. The voice sometimes appears to come from the ceiling, at other times under the floor. Ghost experts and Cincinnati reporters are endeavoring to solve the mystery, but so far they have met with but poor success.
This kind of sounds like the Bell Witch.
A
little bit.
It's much exciting. It's a much exciting story.
I'm much excited to get into this. This is I would like for an aggressive voice to haunt my house and tell me there's $20,000 buried under it. Actually, I wouldn't, because I don't know how I would get to it, because I have a concrete foundation. Here's what I would do. If a voice was screaming, "There's $20,000 under the floor, moron," or whatever this vulgar ghost was saying, I wouldn't tell anyone. I would just start trying to find that money, I guess. I wouldn't give it that. I wouldn't let the press know. I don't want people coming to my house digging.
True. Yeah, that was a bad idea.
Yeah,
that would not go over well now.
And $20,000 in whatever year that was, the 1800s, that's like $4 billion at this point.
At least.
And that's inflation math for those who are unaware. I am perfect at it. Yeah. Why is there a loud masculine ghost voice screaming about money is what I want to know.
And when the people who didn't believe in spiritualism decided they didn't believe in spiritualism, was it before or after they started hearing this ghost voice?
It was after.
It was after they couldn't find the $20,000.
Yeah, like, all right, it was lying.
Yeah. Yes. So that is our first ghost story of the day.
I guess if I was a ghost and I had buried $20,000 under the house, and these people live there now, I'd be like, dude, go get the money. I don't know. It's just rotting away.
He's kind of a good guy. He's a nice ghost.
Yeah, he's just vulgar. I don't know.
Just vulgar. Just very,
just very masculine.
Maybe they just didn't know how to follow directions. He's like, it's buried. Here are the exact coordinates, right underneath the kitchen. Super easy to find. Pull up the floorboard. It's right there. And they're like, where could it be? He's like, come on, you idiot. I'm telling you exactly where it is. It's the only way I would see it happening.
All right. Shall we move on to a non-ghost story from London? This one happened in 1892. And this one's a little bit wild. We're going to go on a little bit of a ride here. An extraordinary eviction is reported from Cashel County, Tipperary. A tenant named Frank Dwyer refused to give up possession of his house to the representatives of his late landlord, contending the latter had left him the house together with a coffin, which he kept beside his bed in his room.
Okay.
Dwyer barricaded his house against eviction, and the only means of egress was a ladder to the roof. On the evictors appearing outside, Dwyer shouted that they could not evict him out of the coffin, and that he would go into the coffin, and they must put him out, coffin and all.
What does that solve?
At least he's going out the way he wants to go out. I don't know. I wonder if there's a rule that if there's a person in a coffin inside of a house, you can't take it out. I mean,
Maybe.
That sounds crazy.
Is that what he's trying to say?
Maybe.
He's like,
I don't think so, because it says if you're going to take me out, you have to take me out coffin and all. Which is what leads me to ask, what does that solve? You're still evicted now. You're just evicted and in a coffin.
Well, I think he's emotionally attached to this coffin.
Yeah, I guess so.
After some further parley, Dwyer agreed to give up possession, but only on condition that he should be evicted while in the coffin.
I love it.
It sounds like a Monty Python skit.
I love this guy.
If you're going to evict me, you'll do it while I'm in this coffin.
If you're going to kick me out, I'm going to climb in this coffin. You're going to carry it out. That's how they would have sounded.
Yeah.
The key of the door was thrown from the roof, and the bailiff and police entered. They found Dwyer in the coffin, a rough, unpainted one, lying on his back and wearing a tall silk hat.
Hey, why they got to shit on the man's coffin? I mean,
I guess apparently coffin shaming wasn't a thing back then.
We don't coffin shame here on Hometown Ghost Stories.
He was lying on his back wearing a tall silk hat around which was twined an old white veil.
He was
Owing to the stairs being too narrow, the party had to lower the coffin with its living inmate through one of the windows.
Such a pain in the ass. I love it. I love it. So petty.
As the coffin descended, Dwyer loudly protested against his illegal eviction. The loud crowd began convulsed with laughter.
I would have loved to hear this just inside the coffin. This is bullshit. I don't like this one bit.
I feel like I see that on the Las Vegas Strip a lot, these kind of situations.
I can imagine.
As soon as the coffin reached terra firma, the boys raised it up, and Dwyer, sitting upright, was coffined around the town, the crowd cheering lustily.
It's hilarious.
They just coffined him around the town?
This is a real story?
This is a real story.
I didn't know coffining someone around was a word that you could use to describe that.
Yeah,
I will be using that.
That happened in 1892.
Never heard it used as a verb before.
He's just being coffined around.
That was fantastic.
I am doing that if ever I get evicted from my house.
Yeah, you got to bring
It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I pointed out that it sounds like a Monty Python skit, and that was before it sounded even more like a Monty Python skit.
It just
as it went on.
More into it.
Brought him around town while everyone's cheering.
Cheering him in the coffin.
What
That
was
sounds
life back then? That's crazy.
That sounds like the funnest day ever for people who live there.
Yeah.
That's how we got to get brought into our live shows from now on. Just all in coffins, being carried around and people cheering as we get brought up to the stage.
That's amazing. It's a good idea.
Let's write that down to make sure that happens in the future.
At the last one, I brought every Halloween decoration I have anyways. Might as well add a few coffins to the bunch. Let's rock and roll.
All right. So it is the Halloween season. Do we want to talk about a mummy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this one is from 1908, and it is from Paris, France. Red tape in France. There is now lying in the Paris morgue a mummy that is the cause of a dispute between the police, who insist that it is an unidentified corpse, and the owner, who is quite sure that it is a piece of furniture.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I often mistake the two myself, to be completely honest.
This seems like it could have been easily figured out. But go on.
The dispute is the sequel to a fire in a flat. The firemen found the mummy amid the ruins of a cupboard. It was placed in a sack and conveyed to the morgue for identification. The owner of the flat has done everything possible to get it back, but the police replied to all representations with the question, "Is a mummy a corpse? Yes or no?"
What is this, a philosophical question?
I mean, the more important question is this a piece of furniture? Yes or no? And the
Is
answer
this a Halloween decoration?
Yeah.
"Yes," says the owner, "but there is no but," declared the police. "A mummy is a corpse, and this is the place for corpses." And that is the end of the article, which is wild.
It sounds like something a serial killer would try to argue.
I
No.
need to know more.
Nope,
No,
this sounds like
that's my lamp.
It's
This
not
Yes, I
a
made it out of
body.
human skin, but no, it's my lamp.
this sounds like another Monty Python skit. This is a dead body. No, it's not. It's my couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, just absolutely wild. Like that a philosophical debate, as you brought up, Jesse, just gets broke.
Forgive me if
I wish I lived back then. It just seems so fun. Everything seems
does.
so fun.
Everything is just so silly.
forgive me if
Yeah.
I missed this. Did it clarify what piece of furniture they were using it as?
No.
I do hope it was a
Cupboard.
dinner tray. I do a cupboard. I do hope it was a dinner tray and it was just like a dead body on like its hands and knees, and they would just place it over their lap and eat off
TV
their
dinner
back.
stand.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. All right, let's get through
Just
this.
one of your bedposts. Like I gotta know. I gotta know. A chair. They
It's
just
a chair. That's why I was going with it. It's just a
Just-
chair.
sitting on the dead body eating dinner.
Just the
Yeah,
mummies
yeah.
like
That'd be
this.
sick.
Love it. A chandelier. Just like a candle on every finger. I love this.
That would be cool. That's a good idea.
The possibilities
That's
are
kind of a
endless.
good idea.
An ironing board.
Love it.
That's
Oh
how
my
it got
God.
so burnt.
That's how the fire started.
It's a fireplace poker. You're just using an entire dead body to poke the fire. We should stop while we're ahead. All right, moving on.
All right, let's talk about 1897 article from Richmond, Kentucky, titled "Panic at a Funeral. Head of the corpse swells until it breaks the coffin glass."
What the
What the hell did they do to this dead body? I don't even want to hear the story. That headline is perfect.
Richmond, Kentucky, September 2nd. A.Q. Riddle Jr., son of a prominent farmer who died yesterday after 3 days' illness with typhoid fever, was buried at King Station today. Just before the body was lowered into the grave, the head, which had swollen to 4 times its natural size, burst the glass over the coffin, producing a panic among the mourners.
I would like to see a picture of that.
Yeah,
Is there
That
a
would-
reference photo here?
there was not a reference photo, and this was 1897, so I think it was a little bit harder.
Like a drawing of some sort?
Yes.
I mean, I understand why this would cause panic, but it doesn't really change much. He was dead. Now he's definitely dead. Not my hottest take.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out.
no, but it's got to be a sight to behold as you're like looking at this body of someone you know, and its head is just swelling.
To 4 times its normal size. That is
Does
a
this still
massive head.
happen?
Like,
I
like
would say probably not.
So typhoid fever causes the brain to swell.
Oh, it's specific to that. Okay.
I don't know, but it doesn't make your head balloon 4 times in size. So I don't know if that's weird.
yeah, so it might have been something that they injected the body with for preservation purposes. Who
I'm gonna
knows?
guess that- I'm gonna guess they didn't use that anymore after that.
I wouldn't use that. Why was there so many glass coffins back then? I came across a lot of glass coffin articles from this time period.
Yeah, that is strange. Maybe I would only assume that this was just for the funeral. They would use the glass coffin because maybe back in the day they didn't have the same kind of stuff now, and maybe like maybe the corpses like stunk a bit, so they would put it in the glass so you could, for an open casket type thing, and they would put it behind glass to kind of not do that, or just in case the head explodes. I guess.
It would have been cool if the guy that was paraded, coffined around town, was in a glass one.
With a
So he
giant
was
head.
on.
The swollen head.
This fucking huge ass head.
He just always wanted to be a magician, but just couldn't escape. Speaking of coffins, let's get into our next story. This one is from 1889 in Hoboken, titled "The Coffin Came Too Soon."
Real coffin heavy episode.
Yeah, as always, we gotta talk about some coffins. An undertaker's messenger makes a mistake and gets a fright. A few days ago, an old lady died at Union Hill. An undertaker Taylor of Hoboken was telephoned to take charge of the body. He sent a trusted employee who had many times before performed such duties. With a coffin, instructions to make all necessary preparations.
Hang on, what was the undertaker? Was it an Undertaker Taylor or an Undertaker named Taylor?
Undertaker named Taylor.
Oh, okay, I was
So-
gonna say, like, what is like? He's just a tailor that's only works for undertakers.
Yes, he's like, I think you need another black suit, sir. And maybe
He's
this
like, dude, I just dig the graves. I don't even go to the funerals. I don't need a suit, bro.
We saw a few more buttons on that coat.
In the same building where the old lady died was an old gentleman lying very ill who knew nothing of the death of his neighbor. By some mistake, Mr. Taylor's emissary carried the coffin into the wrong room. The sick old gentleman, horrified at the appearance of an undertaker with burial paraphernalia,
We're back to another Monty Python reference. I'm not dead yet.
he summoned his remaining strength, rose upright in bed, and frantically appealed to the intruder to leave him.
He must have straight up thought this was the Grim Reaper. He's like, I didn't know you brought the coffin with you.
Just
but
bring
I'm
it.
feeling better.
Why are we bringing the coffin to the room? Is this something we were doing in the 1800s? Just like,
It's like good service, though. It's kind of nice. You don't have to-
it's bonkers.
Yeah,
He didn't have to
They
appear.
bring it to the room. They throw him inside, and then they coffin him outside, which we thought it was a way that you use that word today.
And everybody cheers. He didn't appeal long. The scared messenger stood for one moment in a state of speechless horror. Then he dropped the coffin and ran all the way back to Hoboken, where he swore to his employer that the old gentleman's ghost had appeared to him
Oh
and
no.
threatened to throw him and his coffin out the window.
That's hilarious.
Oh, the sick guy said he was going to throw him out the window. He had to
That's
muster
so
enough strength just to
aggressive.
sit up.
The old gentleman died the next day.
God damn it.
Now he's got to go back.
And Undertaker Taylor,
What a
with
twist.
much difficulty, persuaded his men to make the preliminary preparations for the burial of both bodies.
Oh my
There's
God. He's like, you're never going to believe this, but you got to go back.
There's no way I'd go back. I'd be like, no, that dude is not dead. I promise you he's not dead. He threatened to throw me out the window. I'm not going back there without security. I don't know.
I mean, dude, I cannot imagine being this guy. And I know jobs were probably tough to come by in 1889.
You have to quit.
You have to quit.
Not at the initial thing, because that's a mistake. You got the wrong room. But when the next day that man died,
The next day.
and you gotta go. So he probably actually scared this guy to death.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Somebody was going to get scared to death in this scenario.
I said he ran all the way back to Hoboken. I don't know how far that is, but that sounds like it was far.
You don't think, like, as he's jogging, however many miles that is, he didn't stop to think, like, what if I got the wrong room? Apparently not.
Well,
Yeah, I guess not.
the good news is now he has the right room and he left the coffin there. And that's what he
He's
was.
psychic.
Unless that guy threw it out the window like he said he was going to do.
Maybe that's how he died. He just used the rest of his strength to throw it out the window and just dropped at that point.
That's actually a possibility, which is wild.
It is a crazy story, but I as reading, there's so much things to talk about in the story. But again, the one thing that stood out to me, I'm like, huh, they just brought the coffin right into the room, just rolled him right off the bed and into the coffin and threw him in the cart.
It's just protocol back then to go collect the corpse. You just bring the coffin in.
What year was this?
1889.
Maybe.
So,
It's like valet service for bodies.
yeah.
Is this before or after they invented wheels? After.
Around the same time,
After.
probably.
No, it was
Probably.
after. Well,
Oh,
after.
wow. When did you think wheels were invented?
I'm kidding. But I did look into the year that the stretcher was invented, and it was also a really long time ago. So they had stretchers. Isn't that much easier than coffining this guy out of the room?
The coffin was probably on some sort of wheel
Oh,
structure.
maybe it was on a stretcher or something. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Well, do you think people want to see the dead body also, Jesse? When did they invent sheets to cover them?
When did they invent sheets? After.
I see. It's all starting to add up at this point.
I can't believe this is a Googleable thing. Sheets were invented in the 15th century. That sounds really late.
Yeah.
Or that's just the term bed sheet. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, these are things that we don't need to look into. Moving on.
All right, I have a little bit more recent one than we usually cover in these episodes. This is also from London. It's from 1961.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in Nottingham, England, titled A Real Ghost Story. A local vicar has reported that he has been called in to comfort women who claim they have seen a ghost move through their homes. The women all claim to have seen the same ghost with long black pigtails. Women and children are the only ones who have seen the strange figure, which goes around moving things on tables and in cupboards, and on occasion has been seen tickling babies in their cribs.
Is this guy a male escort?
Please
He
don't
just goes to comfort women.
Yeah, basically.
that was my first, I'm like, wait a second. His job is just going to go comfort these women.
He might just be really hot, and all the women are like, "Yeah, it's crazy. I saw that ghost too." And
It's just
the exact same thing.
Tickling my baby.
You must come comfort me. Jesse, say you must come comfort me in your English accent.
Oh, they were tickling my baby. You gotta come comfort me. So that was impressive.
Whoa.
Absolutely nailed it. This story, the very last sentence is terrifying. That and on occasion has been seen tickling babies in their cribs. How about we don't do that ever?
Well, it just sounds like this playful ghost.
Yeah, there's just
But I mean, like,
underlying creepiness to tickling strangers' babies. You just can't do that.
there's so many violent hauntings that this just seems like a little bit closer to the nicer side of the spectrum. Creepy.
Yeah,
Unsettling.
it is unsettling, but there's definitely much worse things. It's not just punching the babies. That would be bad. I don't recommend that. I don't think any of us recommend that.
If it's going to be a scratch or a tickle from a ghost, I would probably take the tickle.
Yep.
The ghost also sounds terrifying. Long black pigtails. That's all I got. That's all I remember. But it sounds like a terrifying sight to see. Tickling your baby.
Don't do it.
Hard pass.
The more times we say it, the creepier it gets.
But how do I get the job of just going to comfort people after seeing a ghost?
I thought you were going to ask how you get the job of tickling babies. I'm like, don't research that. Don't look that up on the computer.
Yeah.
Ghost comforter.
Yeah.
New job title.
That's what I need to be. The ghost
You
comforter.
guys should offer that on like your Patreon. Get an additional tier.
We should create a new tier actually just to coffin people around.
Yes.
We'll coffin you around.
We'll come to your house and coffin you right out your window. Parade you around town.
We're gonna show up to do that. That's gonna be that same old guy, and he's like, "No, I'm not dead. I'm not dead yet." And he's gonna throw us out the window. That'll be the end of it.
That is not a Hoboken accent. You got to do the Tony Soprano.
Hey, I never tried a Tony Soprano accent.
I like that you went for it though. I mean,
I dove right in. I don't know how to do it though, being extremely vulgar. Dave, give us a Tony Soprano.
I've never. I gotta tell you something. You're not gonna.
You're
not gonna throw me out the window. No coffin.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
You come in here, you pick me up in front of all my friends, and you want to coffin me around. The whole fucking village is cheering for me now. They think it's a joke.
Not even a maid guy.
You can't just coffin around unmade guys. Okay.
All right, so I have one more for us to cover here. Do we want to do a story about a fortune teller?
Yeah, sounds good.
It's a little bit morbid, but let's get into it. This one is 1909 in Allentown, Pennsylvania, I presume. Found by fortune teller. Son locates mother's body by following directions. Allentown, April 18th. Guided by a fortune teller, Robert Renner has found the body of his mother in the Little Lehigh River. Mrs. Renner, who was 37 years old, last summer met with a burning accident. The after effects unbalanced her mind. Every evening, her clothing was secreted by her nurse, lest she escape by night.
Wait, what does that even mean?
Well, yeah, either way, it doesn't make sense.
I think it means that she was like confined, like
straitjacket?
yeah, or something, or tied down,
Okay.
because it's alluding to the fact that she was trying to escape. On Wednesday morning, she was gone, having donned her son's clothes. At daylight, the cap was found on the riverbank. After the stream had been grappled 3 days in vain, the boy consulted a soothsayer. She told him his mother's body was under one of 3 bridges. He went out in a boat. As he grappled under the 3rd bridge mentioned, a dark object arose. He reached into the water, grabbing his dead mother.
Oof.
Dang.
Not how you want to find Ma.
Yeah,
That is crazy, though, when psychics really do lead like police or whoever to find bodies, because that happens.
it happens so often, and you have to be very skeptical of it when they're telling the police, because some of them will just be like, they're in a field. It's like, okay, like of course they're in a field. We live in Nebraska. Like where else would they be? But when you get very specific like this, where they're like, you check these 3 bridges, and that's where they actually find the body, that is always very chilling.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have words for that. That's just really, really cool that they can do that. Obviously, it's a tragic story. That's on the nurse or whoever is supposed to be keeping after her. I mean, she dressed in her son's clothes, and they're like, "Oh, there goes that dude." Yeah, that's just, I don't know. But I guess it was in the middle of the night. Tough to keep an eye on those situations. Sad story when your mental health declines like that. But
Well, you also were, she was in a fire, so her body was burned. So I mean, I'm sure she was in agony. It's
Right.
1909. Like how at bay are they keeping the pain? I'm sure the disfigurement must really attack your mental health as well. So it's the whole thing. I like that you're farting during the story,
I
Jesse.
hate that you mentioned that. Again, now I got to prove I got to wake up the dog.
I didn't want to say anything.
Look at them with
Oh
all
my
your shame. Look
God.
what you've done.
Wait, that's the cutest dog. Is that a Boston Terrier?
It is a Boston Terrier.
Oh my
And she snores and has to sit directly behind me during the entire show. This is like the 3rd
She's
episode
very
in a row.
shocked.
Yes, because I just woke her out of a sound sleep. She was snoring, actually. Yes.
She always looks shocked.
It's like, why are you waking me up to shame me in front of the cameras again?
Anyways, that is gonna do it for this episode of Haunted Headlines. Some funny stories, some scary stories, some crazy stories. We've learned that we need coffins, I think, in this episode.
Yep. Well, if you folks haven't already, make sure you go follow Phantomette, subscribe on YouTube, also check her out on Instagram, and a lot of paranormal investigations on her channel. It's a good one. And thank you so much for coming on again.
Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah.
All right, we will
Yeah,
catch you.
anytime you want to talk about coffins being inappropriately used. Every story was about coffins, but never one being used correctly.
Yeah, you know which show. Well, you know which show to come on now to talk about. I also named one of these stories "Coffin Flop."
Oh my gosh. Love Coffin Flop. My favorite show.
Some say it's the best show ever. Anyways, that's gonna do it for us, guys. We'll catch you next time. Peace.